I get asked often about starting a YouTube channel. How do you get started? Any advice would be welcome. Well, see, there is no proven formula. There really isn't. I know Jake Paul is selling some kind of a course in becoming an influencer and becoming famous or whatever it is. And when I heard this, I just thought to myself, you can't. You can't. So here I am with one of my whiteboards, and this is kind of one of the staples from my main channel that I've also incorporated into recent videos on this channel as well, because it's just easier. So how that started was that I would do videos that were stream of thought for like 20 minutes, and then I started using flashcards for list videos, and then I noticed other channels were starting to use flashcards, and I was like, oh, all right. So I got whiteboards. Now other channels are using whiteboards. So if I was going to give advice, the first piece of advice I'd give is originality. Make sure that whatever's being produced by the channel that you start is your content. And then nobody's going to come in and say, oh, you're copying, and then name off a channel that you're copying. So, like, for instance, I've very often had discussions with people who say, hey, I'm starting a gaming channel, where I've said, don't do that. And I haven't said it because I want to discourage people from doing it. It's because it's a crowded space. And then you unfortunately have articles online that say, hey, if you're going to start a channel and make money on YouTube, start a gaming channel. It's a crowded space. I'm trying to think of a way to describe this. So it's sort of like you're starting out, your videos won't get views. So you're trying to attract views. Now, if you're starting a gaming channel and you're starting from bare bones, again, it's difficult to make those inroads because people are going to be comparing your channel to other big channels. So originality is huge. And then the other thing that I think was important in the beginning is when you're starting out, figure out which parts of YouTube are underserved. When I started out, I didn't, I kind of fell into it. I didn't plan anything out. It's sort of like getting to the whiteboards was just sort of the next step for me. It wasn't, hey, I've got this plan 6 months along, I'm going to be doing this 8 months along. No. Look for parts of YouTube where there aren't a lot of channels. Find a topic that you're interested in and say, hey, there's not a lot of, for instance, before I was talking about hockey, I was talking about Doctor Who. Because I found that there weren't a whole lot of channels talking about it, and the channel started getting kind of a foothold with Doctor Who stuff, and then it eventually went towards hockey because Doctor Who, you only have what, 10 new episodes every year, 12 new episodes every year, and there's a limited amount that I could talk about in there. I felt like it just wasn't something that I could dedicate a whole channel to, and there were already other channels out there, and it felt kind of like a crowded space. So you're looking for a part of YouTube where you can say, hey, what I'm trying to do is something that right now I'm not seeing out there a lot of this. And when I started talking about hockey, part of it was because when I was turning on any kind of Canadian media to watch hockey news, I would hear about Toronto, I'd hear about Montreal, I'd hear about Calgary, Edmonton, but I wouldn't hear about Dallas. I was a big Dallas Stars fan. I wouldn't hear anything about Dallas. If I was watching an American hockey channel, they would talk about the Rangers, they'd talk about the Kings, they'd talk about the Red Wings, they would talk about the Penguins. But again, I'm like, where's the Dallas news? So I thought, you know what, I'll just do videos where I talk about what I think's going on with Dallas. I'll talk about what's going on with Carolina. I'll talk about all these places that aren't being served. And then it started to build from there. So you're looking for something different. And so when I see a brand new channel come out and they're like, hey, I'm doing this, my first thought is, okay, so the other piece of advice I'd give is simple. So for people who skip to the end of this, it's not going to make any sense. Just, it's a hobby. I right now am a YouTuber, and I've done this for, it's been over 4 years now that I've been doing this. It's been my exclusive employment for 2+ years. I take it very seriously. I spend any given day, any given night, I am planning out the videos for the next day. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to discuss in coming days. I'm trying to figure out playlists and all of this stuff. But it is a hobby at the beginning. And I treated it that way. I treated it like it was a fun hobby. It was a diversion. It was something to do after work. So I'd go to work, I'd put in my 8 hours or more than that, and then I'd go home and I'd make YouTube videos. And I did it for fun. Now, with monetization being as it is, it's very difficult to get a channel monetized. It is very difficult to get a channel to the point where it's popular enough, it gets enough view time, it gets enough subscribers to actually be monetized. So if anybody's looking at it and saying, hey, this is what I want to do to make money, it takes a long time. It takes a lot. And for me, I was putting in just as many hours. Well, not just as many hours because I didn't have that many hours in the day, but I was putting in a lot of hours every day when it was a hobby in order to make sure that those videos were produced. I would, during my breaks and lunches at work, I would be writing down ideas for videos. I'd be going through it in my head during my shift at work. And then I'd go home and I'd do it. But again, it was a hobby. So I had at no point in the beginning any idea that this was going to blow up the way that it did on my main channel, which is almost at 136,000 subscribers. And honestly, if it starts to grow and it starts to look really good, let's see. And I've seen this with bigger channels. Work ethic. Maintain that work ethic. I've seen some bigger channels where they'll produce a video every day or every other day, and then the channel gets bigger and bigger, and then maybe they disappear for a while. And I think to myself, you know, you can probably afford to live off of those videos that you've done, and you can go off and do your own thing for a couple of months and come back. But what it does is it takes away the momentum. The momentum, the energy, the enthusiasm for the channel. It's easy for people on YouTube that if you don't have that work ethic, they will go and find that service somewhere else. If I came out tomorrow and I said, well, I'm not doing hockey videos for the next month because look what's going on in the world, so forget it, there would be a number of other hockey channels that would say, oh, cool. Because then those views go somewhere else. And those other channels would benefit from me saying I'm out of here for a month. So for any other channel, and whether it's a T channel, and T channels are ones that basically gossip about celebrities and gossip about other YouTubers. And it's fascinating to see what's going on because those channels will often tell you where the next big apocalypse is coming from. The YouTube apocalypse suffix, as it is. So, you know, if those channels take time off, then other channels pick up those subscribers. They pick up those views. People are still going to be on YouTube. They are still going to want videos to watch. And if you don't produce anything new, they're going to go, well, all right, where else am I going to go? And so that's part of the reason why it's really important. The other thing, too, in and around the fact that it's a hobby, and this is where, and I struggled with this from the beginning, and Yvonne called me out on it, trying not to pay too much attention to the numbers. So trying not to get too obsessed on the numbers. Now, I do pay attention to the numbers because the numbers tell me, you know, how the channels perform that day, how the videos perform that day. And the numbers will tell you what to go towards. So you'll do a video of something you really like and you go, man, this is so much fun. I'm so glad I did this video, and you post it. And it gets 50 views. And then you post a video on something you don't really care about a whole lot. Like, all right, well, I guess I'll do this. And you post it and it gets 5,000 views right out of the gate. As much as you may have enjoyed the one that did, you know, 60, 65 views, you'd be crazy not to go where the views are. And that's where it gets kind of iffy. I will say this. I'm going to put this on the board here because people always post it, and I say no to clickbait. Stay away from it. It works. Stay away from it. I've seen channels that have millions of views on a video that is clearly clickbait, where the title and the thumbnail will tell me one thing, and then I click on it and I go, this is not at all what I thought this was going to be about. You know, it'll be brand new dramatic reveal of something that happened on the set of this movie, and you click on it, and it's something you heard about in a documentary a long time ago, and they just heard about it. So, you know, it's out there. I would say avoid it as much as possible. I try to stay away from the dramatic thumbnails where your facial expressions are. I mean, if that's your gimmick, then good. But if you're doing that occasionally just to get those numbers to go up, kind of tricky, because that video may do very well, but then the next time one of your videos comes up as recommended for somebody else, somebody will remember. They'll go, hey, last time I clicked on that guy's video, it was clickbait, or it was an overly reactionary thumbnail to try to get me to click on it, and I'm not clicking on another one of his videos because I know his videos aren't true. Now, part of work ethic as well, I'll put this over here. Now, this is where I differ from some other people's opinions on things. Being consistent. So, in this instance, what I'm talking about is that my videos that I produced 4 years ago look different than the videos I'm producing now, but it's still me. I'm still consistently myself. I may have used foul language in really old videos, and at some point I went, hey, if I'm PG rated, my videos serve to everybody, and so that's when I made that decision to go, hey, I'm just going to serve to everybody. So, you know, and then it didn't hurt either that my wife doesn't swear. I've been with her for 3.5 years. I've never heard her swear. So that makes a big difference when you're not around it and exposed to it anymore. Once I wasn't working on an assembly line anymore, I wasn't really exposed to, and I wasn't really picking up that kind of stuff. But being consistent, to me, involves not just the work ethic and being basically somebody that people rely on, that every day they go, there will be videos from this channel. I have channels I'm like that with, where I know there will be videos every day from those channels. But they'll be consistent. So it's not like I'm going to click on a Wrestle Talk video and there's going to be a dramatic difference in how it's presented and in the quality of it. I know what I'm going to get. And very often I will know before I click on it who's going to host it, which may very well make a difference. And the idea that, you know, it's just really, really important to make sure that people, before they click on the video, they kind of know what they're going to get. Next up, and I'll just put this over to the side. I talked about this in a video on my Patreon. Don't feed the trolls. It's an online phrase that we use a lot. Yeah, that's trolls in a cage. Trolls are, you're going to, as soon as you start making videos, there are going to be people who don't like you and don't want you to succeed. And those people, as the channel gets bigger, will continue to have that same opinion. That opinion won't change. And in my case, there were definitely people who wanted to see everything fail right out of the gate. And they reveled in the idea that I was making videos that were getting 50, 60 views, weren't making any money, and they were like, see, you're not, this is a failure, you suck at this. And now that my main channel and this one have both had some relative levels of success, those opinions have gone, they've changed, but it's not like you're going to win a troll over. It's not like somebody who's trolling online, and right now, sadly, we are still seeing trolling online. I don't understand why, in this current situation that we're globally finding ourselves in, there's still trolling going on. What the hell? Anyways, I hope at least they're washing their hands after. You're not going to please everybody. Early on with my channel, I tried. I was like, man, what? So I would look at criticism going on, go, okay, I gotta, but I found that if I answered the criticism and I would shift videos towards trying to appease some negativity that was out there, it would then alienate somebody else. And so I go, well, wait a minute. And then it'd be, well, he's sold out and he's giving in. So I just found that there wasn't any consistent path my videos were following because I was worrying too much about this. So as soon as you start out, yeah, people are going to troll. I've seen small channels, I'm talking really small channels, that have given up because of trolling. They've said, I'm just getting trolled and I give up. And they may be getting trolled, they're likely getting trolled by people who know them in real life. And that's, you know, that's a reality, that's going to happen. And it's about getting past that, because as the numbers go up, this quiets down. There are just as many people who would troll my channels, both channels, as there were 4 years ago. There are more. But because the numbers have got to the level they have, it really kind of gets shouted out. And the positivity is still outweighing the negativity by really, really wide margins. And for me, just personally, when it comes to YouTubers, if all of this works out, one thing that I look for in YouTubers especially is humility. Just don't. Once it goes to a YouTuber's head, and I'm not going to name names here, but there are YouTubers that it's clearly gone to their head. There are YouTubers I used to follow that I don't anymore. Because I'm like, wow, you're not the same person. You're not. And it's where they start talking down to subscribers. They start, and again, coming back to the troll thing, they'll get trolled. And they'll come out with a video that talks about how great they are and how much the trolls must be awful people with no lives. And it's like, okay, I understand the trolls are upsetting you, and a lot of your channel is going to be okay with you calling these people out. But if you start talking about how great you are, or something like that, that's where you're in kind of a gray area there. So coming into it with humility and keeping it is a key thing. And as YouTubers get bigger, there's more sponsorship deals you can get. There are definitely more emails that I get now than I ever have where, hey, we want to work with you. And I'm like, hey, you want my money? So, and that's kind of how I see it too. I will say this too, because I know this is still a thing. They're still called MCNs, right? Multichannel Networks. I don't have one. I don't have one. And I don't have any intention of having one. I get emails from networks, and they say, hey, we can get your views to go up by 30%. We can get your subscriber numbers to go up. And I go, no, you can't. You can't. You can't. They will do this. They will come out and they'll tell you, oh, we can do. What they're doing is they're trying to take as much as, depending on the network, it can be up to 50%. It can be up to 50% of your money. So what happens is that as it stands now, so your videos will make X amount. So let's say you get monetized and your videos are making X amount of money. So you've made $10 in March. That money pays out in April. So around the end of April, you get it. If you're on an MCN, it's going to be later than that. Because they got to take their cut and then give you whatever's left over. And then at the end of it, you have to go, is this worth it? Some of the networks are really nasty. Some of the networks, if you try to leave, they'll try to claim copyright over your own videos. Like, there's some really nasty, dastardly stuff that goes on with these networks where they'll say, hey, we own that video because you made it on our network, so we'll take whatever money that makes from here. Not all of them are like that. Clearly, there are some really good ones. I understand that. For me, I've stayed as far away from them as possible, and I don't see any reason to be on a network now. I'm quite happy with the way things are. Numbers are going to be down right now because of what's going on, because of the whole global issue that's going on. But, it's a matter of still being able to adjust. Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to phrase that. Yeah, I'll just go with this. This isn't physical, so don't worry. I'm not talking about actually taking a physical where they measure your flexibility and whether or not you're double jointed. Could be good though in videos if you're double jointed. Let's be honest, right? Being flexible. So let's say you have a movie channel and everything's going great, and then this happens and suddenly there aren't movies coming out in the theater. And all your channel does is review brand new movies. Brand new movies every Friday. You're reviewing brand new movies. Going great. This happens. Movie theaters, not an option. So then you have to change it up. And you have to change it up. And you have to make sure that when you're shooting on camera, you don't look panicked. You have to make sure when the camera's on, you seem still positive. You can still make it sound like it's consistently still the same content. But now you change it up. And you go, hey, let's talk about something we saw on DVD back from, this is a movie from the 80s. This is a movie from the 90s. Understand that the videos you do that aren't going to be as current aren't going to make as much money. They're not going to get the same amount of views. For me, knowing that there isn't any current hockey news going on, that sports is kind of at a dead end right now, it means that I will be putting more time into this channel. I will be putting more effort into this channel. Because things will balance out, right? And it's just a matter of, okay, I got to change on the fly here. And basically, as soon as the NHL came out and said, we are suspending the season, I said, and I'm making Entertainment Guy channel videos. I'm going to have time. I'm going to be making them. The flexibility is really important. No matter what you're talking about, make it original. Make sure that you're talking about something other people aren't, so you have a greater chance for growth. If you're one of the first to talk about that item, if you're one of the first to have a channel on that topic, even if other people copy you, you're still one of the first. You still have that dedicated fan base. Started out as a hobby. Don't plan to be famous. When people plan to be famous, it's just like, and I see this with some YouTubers who have this idea like, okay, I'm going to be a journalist. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be, you know what I'm going to be? A YouTuber. Maybe it's because I'm in my 40s. I have no aspiration to get into acting. I have no aspiration to be a journalist. I have no aspiration to be on the radio. I have no aspirations outside of doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And maybe that makes me unique from some others, where I see like Lily Singh's got her own show. Good for her. I wouldn't want one. If somebody came to me tomorrow and said, hey, Shannon, we're going to put you on a show on global TV, I'd say, no. Because part of the problem is that once you make that step, your consistency on your channel that got you there could be gone. Could take away your air of humility as well. Because if you're out there hosting a show, you've got to come across as, hey, I know every time Tim and Sid talk about being sports experts, I kind of cringe. I think, you know what? I like Tim and Sid. But when they talk about being experts, I understand how they're saying it. But that word expert will never cross my lips in terms of myself when it comes to any topic, anywhere, except my own books. My own books, I am an expert on these books. That's it. My own stories, I can claim to be an expert on. That's fine. But that's where things get kind of hazy. And it can affect, if I had a TV show, it'd affect work ethic. I would go to a studio, I'd do the whole thing, I'd have a contract with them. It could very well make it so that my channel doesn't work out, and it starts to really languish. Now here's the problem. Those views go somewhere else, right? Now, what if I have this sports show on Global, and it flops? And a year down the road, they go, hey, this was great. You're fired. You're canceled. You're out of here. Now I'm back with this. My numbers will have dropped. People will foresee that, or people will believe and perceive that I've lost any humility I had. Consistency's been gone. While I wasn't serving the community, people have found something else to do, and I might turn my job back into a hobby. So there you go. Again, ignore the trolls. Don't make clickbait, and try to be original are the most important steps. If you choose to start your own YouTube channel. And don't believe anybody who says, I guarantee success if. Be very, very wary of those people, because some of the most popular channels on YouTube, I hate them. And some of the channels on YouTube that don't get a whole lot of love and attention, I think are fantastic. So that's why I don't think there is any one formula for this. Because you're trying to appeal to people across all age groups, and I'm bewildered by some of the channels that I absolutely loathe at just how popular some of them can be. And no, they're not hockey channels, for anybody wondering. I don't loathe any hockey channels. I really don't. My loathing is for some of those really big mega channels that just, I'm like, are you serious? This is absolutely ridiculous. This is so, and people are lapping it up. Ugh. Anyways. One man's opinion and one man's advice. So hopefully this helps anybody considering starting their own YouTube channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, especially if you have a successful or semi-successful, or you're going through this process and you want to share your experience. By all means, please do so. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. You guys make this work. I will talk to you again soon.